If you think perfectionism is a quality, this video is for you. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Renuka, and this is a safe place where we talk about well-being, mental health, and productivity, especially if you're a woman. And today's topic is how perfectionism is not a quality, it's actually a self-sabotaging behavior. Let's get real about perfectionism. The reason why you see me wearing my PJs is because I have been a victim of perfectionism for a very long time. And let me tell you, it's not just perfectionism, it is actually linked with a lot of other things. And what we think that perfectionism is actually a quality, but in reality, it is a self sabotage where we don't allow ourselves to be successful. We are the obstacle in our own success. And perfectionism is one of the ways that we do that. Let's get deep into it. Perfectionism is not about getting things perfect, and let me break it down for you. It's like a little voice in your head that is telling you if it's not perfect, it's worthless. And can I also tell you that more often than not, if you are having this feeling that if it is not perfect, it's useless, it is very likely that you tie yourself in the perfectionism realm also. That if you are not a good person, you're a bad person. And it happens, again, it happens from the childhood, but we're not going to go there right now. If you are that kind of a person that if you feel that somebody is cheating or somebody is lying, is a bad person, you are more likely falling in this category where you think that you are a perfectionist because you are putting everybody in a black or white category, and you're also putting yourself and kind of judging yourself with the same scale that either you are good or you're bad. So while you're doing the good things is okay, the moment you have those negative feelings crop up in your mind, like you feel jealous with somebody or you feel like you did something wrong, like morally wrong, you come really hard on yourself. More likely that you are also having a problem of perfectionism because you are doubling down on yourself, making sure that you do things perfectly. And what happens because of that is you procrastinate or you feel burnt out because carrying that kind of energy where you are constantly on yourself, like there's somebody monitoring you and that person is you yourself. You're constantly monitoring what you're doing and you're not relaxing. It drains your energy. It makes you tired. Over editing a project until it's late, avoiding starting something because it might not be good enough, constantly comparing yourself to others. If this is you, you are most likely self sabotaging your own success by perfectionism and calling it perfectionism. Where does perfectionism start? Again, it starts from your childhood. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, or you grew up in an environment or a childhood where you were neglected, or you were appreciated only when you did something for somebody, it could be your mother, it could be your father, or your other guardian. You very soon as a child learn that if you do certain things or if you become a perfect child, which is a myth. There are no perfect children. Whatever we are flawed and we are okay and we are worthy, still worthy. So all these conditions that if you do this, then you are loved or you will be loved, that creates a sense that you always have to strive for perfection. You always have to strive to be a good human being. You always have to strive to be a good person. And that makes you suppress the negative emotions and hide yourself, your true self, behind a mask. But let me tell you one thing, all these things helped you to survive your childhood. But is it required now? No. You have to constantly keep on working on yourself and helping yourself to learn that currently you're in a safe environment and you don't need these defense mechanisms to survive. And that's when you start easing yourself into accepting yourself. And that's how self-acceptance begins. That it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay the way you are. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And asking or striving for perfection is really setting up yourself for failure. I'm very, very blessed that I studied in a place where all my lecturers used to tell me that do not strive for perfectionism or do not strive for the best grades. Just put in your best and then relax. Let it be. Because what happens is when we are doing that, we don't realize it. We keep procrastinating it and we end up doing things late. Some of the negative effects of perfectionism are: number one, procrastination. And I have suffered from procrastination a lot. And I know a lot of you guys also do that. Procrastination is something where you really want to do a very good job. And the whole image in your brain that you have to really like awe people, you want to make people admire your work or love you or be inspired by you or just be like, wow, this person is amazing. When you have that kind of a burden on your head whenever you are doing something, it already starts to tire you and it already creates an overwhelming feeling where you are unable to deal with that problem or to deal with that project or task that you are given. So if you're like a YouTube creator, you would spend a lot of time thinking that, oh, I need this, I need that, until I have an editor or until I have the best equipment, I cannot start. Procrastination. You're putting away, living your life, hoping that when it's perfect, that's when you're going to do the things. Or when it's the perfect timing, that's when you're going to do your best shot. And most often when you do that, it overwhelms you so much, you cannot take the first step. How to solve this? Break down everything in smaller steps. Take one step at a time. So like if you have an assignment that needs to be done, start it. Take small steps. Take, let's say, every day, just spend 1 hour on it, get it done, finish it, submit it. Don't wait for it to be perfect. YouTube channel, start it. Grab your phone, grab whatever you have, just begin. Over the period of time, you will learn more skills and you will get it better. It could be anything. Just start. Just break it down in smaller steps. Take one step at a time. And I tell you, it's amazing that how Bhagavad Gita also talks about this. And the reason why they say that do not think about the fruit of what your actions are, just do the action, is precisely this. And I find that Bhagavad Gita is actually a psychology book where it gives you pieces of wisdom which is directly applied to your brain and how your mind works. So if something is overwhelming you, make it short, small pieces and tackle those pieces. Number two, burnout. Carrying a mask is always going to lead to a burnout situation. If you are pretending to be a good human being, I know in your heart you may believe that you are a good human being. You don't have to pretend. You're not pretending. You are a good human being. But I want to tell you this today, that there is no good human being. It's going to sound really wrong, but there is no good human being and there is no bad human being. Stop putting those labels on people. Everybody is doing the actions because of their conditioning, the conditioning of their childhood. Nobody wants to do awful things in the world. They are kind of helpless. It's something like if there is an alcoholic and you tell them that why you already know that alcohol is bad for your health, why can't you stop drinking or why can't you stop smoking? You know it's bad for your health. They can't do it because it's conditioned in their brain. They are conditioned to think that alcohol makes you have fun. You cannot challenge it until the person himself decides that I've had it enough and now today I want to change my life. That's when change happens. So thinking yourself or judging yourself that you're a good human being versus you're not a good human being can really be very tiring. So when you tell yourself that you are a perfectionist, you're actually justifying yourself for not being able to finish the task on time. And it also leads for you to cause fatigue because you're constant, that thing is already there in your head, that project is pending, it's constantly on your brain, this thing is pending, you're not doing it. And then there's another energy which is trying to counteract your feeling of guilt. So it's trying to soothe you because the guilt is coming up that you know that the deadline is almost there and then you have to deal with it. So this another energy is busy telling you that it's okay, it's trying to calm down your guilt. Your body is busy doing and like firefighting. It would be just so easy to forget about the fruit, forget about the result of your work. Just do the work. Just do it. Number three, damaged relationship. Perfectionism affects your other aspects of your life. It also affects your relationship. Because if you think you are perfectionist, and I'm telling you, because this happens because you have like a extreme poles division in your mind and you think something is good, something is bad. Like if you see something is not done properly or the way you want it, and that could cause a lot of resentment, and that would really be triggering for you. Like for a longest time, I used to get triggered if somebody didn't clean the way that I clean, because I wanted to clean my desk or my cupboard, or I want to organize everything the way I want, and that would cause a lot of triggering in me. And I sat down and noticed it, and I thought that the reason why it's triggering me is because I judge myself. If my surrounding is not clean or is not perfect, then I judge myself. But to be honest, if you want to live your life, like if you're using something, they're going to spoil. If you're living in a house, it's going to be a little bit messy at times. If you're living with children, it will be a little bit messy. But the answer to that is get to work. Take small steps. Clean it. Teach others to clean it. It should not make you feel so resentful that you don't allow children to play. It should not make you feel so rigid that you stop using your things just in the fear that you will either run out of things, or you don't want to mess it up, or you don't want to spoil it. It's perfectionism. It's happening in your mind. It's a very mental thing where and it comes from a feeling of fear that you may not get those things, or you are going to spoil the things, or something will not look nice and it will reflect on your thing, and that leads to a very unsatisfied kind of a living of your life. Don't you think so? Like if you don't allow children to play just because they're going to mess up their clothes, aren't you robbing their childhood by not allowing them? Because children are made to touch and feel things, and that's how they experience the world. They learn things about the objects around them. If you don't allow a child to play with the food that he's eating just because it's going to mess up the area, don't you think you're robbing that child from experiencing the food, the textures? It's learning for them. It's a class going on for them. Perfectionism really, really pulls you down. And you can work on it by working on your mindset. Therapy works very well when dealing with perfectionism, because it's when you are able to change your mindset, the way you look at things, you change your perspective, you are able to change the quality of your life. Number 4, reduce creativity. And this goes hand in hand. When you don't allow yourself to make mistakes because you're a perfectionist, you stifle that creative energy. You will not allow yourself to do creative work. And I tell you one thing, this whole world, I've come to a realization that each of us, each person of us, we are born with creativity. We are born because of creativity, and we have that creative element in us. But we stifle that creativity because we are too scared of making mistakes. We want everything to be perfect. The way people are doing, we just want to follow everything like that. The moment you relax in your body, the moment you allow yourself to make mistakes, you unleash that creative element in you. And creativity is in anything. Creativity can be, creative way of finding solutions to your problem at work. Creativity is playing with spices in the kitchen or trying to do something, mixing flavors. But for that, you need to have that kind of a, that sense, that relaxation where you are able to understand the subtle flavors. Creativity is even in cleaning your house, how innovatively you decor your house. Creativity is everywhere and in each one of us. And it is our job to unleash it by getting rid of perfectionism. And number 5, career setbacks. And this is something that I experienced it myself when I was in my career psychology lecture. It dawned on me like a realization where career is not what we make out of our life. Career is everything that we have spent our time doing. And even if you are a stay-at-home mother, you are still learning things. You are still growing with your children. So you do bring a lot to the table, like in the sense, like you handle a house accounts, you handle what needs to, like you do the budgeting, you handle the manpower. It is all learning. These are all skills. So if you think yourself that you are less than anyone because you quit a job or because you have quit many jobs and you think you're less than anybody, you're highly mistaken, and you're really, really being very critical to yourself. A person who breaks down is a person who is fearful of getting up. A person who's not fearful of getting up and he is okay with making mistake, that person will always keep going ahead with whatever circumstances. They will keep going ahead, and that is what life is all about. You keep moving on, whatever the circumstances. You just keep making the best what is available to you and keep moving on instead of judging yourself. So how you can fix this is by having compassion for yourself and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. If you have those negative feelings, allow yourself to experience it. Allow yourself to be jealous. Allow yourself, don't be so judgmental about yourself. Everyone is jealous. Like, everyone can have that jealousy feeling at some time. Okay, everyone can have that feeling of, everyone can lie. So these are small things that sometimes get so stuck in our brain that we don't allow ourselves to do it. And it's very important that we teach our daughters that it's okay to lie. There are certain kinds of lie that we, on a day-to-day basis, we have to do to survive. But a lie should not, again, I'm using should not, but you have to raise a child with a good intellect who can decide what lie they can, what lie they cannot. And you really need to stop judging or making the child think that they're a bad human being if they're lying. Tell me honestly, is there one single person who doesn't lie? Everybody lies. Sometimes we do have to tell lies, which is like a white lie, because you don't want to hurt somebody. It's still a lie. So stop living in that perfect scenario, idealistic world. This is a real world. People are gray shades. There is no black, there is no white. There's just, we are all people, and people are doing things because of their circumstances and because of their conditioning. If they knew better, they wouldn't be doing it. If they could help it, they would do it. If you want to help yourself, seek therapy. Get rid of your social conditioning. Get rid of the cycle where we are traumatized and we raise another generation which is again carrying a burden and following the same cycle, attracting wounded partners, and then doing the whole thing again. Be the person who breaks the cycle and breaks the cycle of generational trauma. Today, very interestingly, I was reading about generational trauma, and it comes to me that even generational trauma, it's like even that is not like a white or a black, because whenever there is generational trauma and it is going on from one generation to another generation, there is generational resilience which is also going from one generation to another. So if you see your parents, the resilience that comes in us as being Indian and have seen so much of difficulties over the years, you see the resilience is also being transferred from one generation to another. So there is no like good or bad. We just have to do the things, take small steps and just do the work. I hope you like this video. I hope I'm making some sense to you all. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe to my channel and support me to make new content. And I will see you next time in my next video. Bye-bye.